In today's video, I share a handful of online tools that I want you to know about as you prepare for retirement. Full disclosure, I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. I just want you to know about these. Let's jump in. The first tool has to do with budgeting. You know, how can we save more? That's one of the core tenets of being able to prepare for retirement, is spend less than what you earn. And if you're already doing that and you're doing it well, and you're not using a budgeting tool, don't change things. But if you're struggling with it and you think an online tool, a tool on your smartphone might help, You Need a Budget is very popular. It's about $8 a month. And a lot of people consider it a replacement for mint.com, which has decided to exit this space. So if you're interested, I'll leave a link for You Need a Budget in the show notes. The next tool is a super high-level retirement planning tool, super basic, put out by Fidelity. You can see the tool here. You put in your basic information, and then Fidelity says, you know, based on this, you should be able to plan on being able to spend, you know, a certain amount of money every month in retirement. Again, it's super high level, but I think if you just want to know what happens if I save $20,000 instead of $10,000 this year, I think a tool like this can be helpful. Others of you are fans of Schwab. Schwab has a similar tool. You put in your high-level information, and it spits out, hey, here's how much you need to save. Here's how much you have now. Here's how much you need to save to get into retirement. Many of you might find that tool to be helpful as well. Like I said, those are fairly simplistic tools, the Schwab and the Fidelity tool. And for many of you, you're going to want a more sophisticated tool. So starting to climb the ladder on the sophistication on the tools, the next one is still a free tool, but this one incorporates a free Monte Carlo simulation. It also allows you to input stuff like what you think your tax rate is, what % of your accounts are going to be taxable. It's a tool called honestmath.com. And what I like about honestmath.com is it goes a little bit deeper than the Fidelity and the Schwab calculators, but it also gives you a Monte Carlo simulation. And what Monte Carlo is, statistical method to take into account the variability that we all in reality see with our stock accounts. You know, the stock market might have averaged 9% a year over the last 75 or 80 years, but you know what? Very few of those years did the stock market actually return 9% a year. Honestmath.com lets you go in, put in a number of factors. It's not a full-blown, robust tool, but it's kind of a hybrid between the ask me 4 or 5 questions and get a high-level return. It's a hybrid between that and the very detailed analysis that some of these tools I'm going to talk about later give you. So it's honestmath.com, and you can see here what the output of it looks like. Again, it's a completely free tool. Another tool is going up that spectrum on complexity and also cost. The next tool that I want you to know about is called newretirement.com. Now, this is a tool that a lot of YouTubers, finance YouTubers, have recommended. It's fairly affordable at $120 a year. I mentioned that I'm not sponsored by or affiliated with any of these companies, but hopefully it's okay with you. I'm gonna put in the referral link for a YouTube buddy of mine by the name of Joe Kuhn. If you haven't checked out Joe Kuhn's site on the internet yet, on YouTube, I'll leave a link to his site as well. But Joe does a lot of good work. He was an engineer, retired from a high-level engineering position as a plant manager at 54, left a lot of money on the table, and he's kind of the poster child in many ways for what I promote on my channel, which is thinking about retiring early. If you can afford to do it, by working one more year, you're always going to be able to save more money. And Joe was able to look that beast in the eye and say, you know what, I'm going to pass on that. I choose life. I'm optimizing on life. I'm optimizing on adventure. I'm optimizing on my health and my family and my marriage. And Joe's got a great YouTube channel. It's Stories from the Trenches. And so I'm going to use Joe's referral code for newretirement.com. So check that out. Again, this tool will get you quite a bit more detail. It's similar to some of the professional software that people in my industry use. I say it's similar. It's hard to compare $1,220 a year software to some that might cost a financial advising firm, between all its advisors, $10,000 plus a year. But it's a really, really good tool. And not just Joe recommends it, but I know a number of other finance retirement YouTubers recommend it as well. Okay, the next one is a company called Wealth Trace. This might be one that you haven't heard of before. Wealth Trace is kind of interesting because they market to both financial advisors, people like myself, as well as to non-financial advisors, people that are looking for answers to their own situation. So it might be worth comparing. Both of these have a free trial, New Retirement as well as Wealth Trace. Check them both out. See which one's right for you. And Wealth Trace comes in depending on which features you want. They've got kind of a premium version and a basic version. It's basically $200 to $300 a year for Wealth Trace. So that's, I think, still super affordable for the amount of power, the amount of computation that'll give you. Okay, now the last software that I want to talk about is really professional software, and I'm not going to talk about that one at a time, but I'm going to point you towards a website called Kitces.com, Kitces. It's done by a guy by the name of Michael Kitces. He's one of the thought leaders in the financial planning industry. And Michael did a review of all of the financial planning software that's available to professionals. This page here, you can see the different software. Now, I want to point out there's two types of software, high level. One is goal planning software, where it's not looking at each of your income streams in detail. It's kind of what I was talking about budgeting. It starts at the high level and works down. And the other one is cash flow planning, which starts at the bottom, looks at all the cash flows, the taxations of it. Now, a lot of people are gonna say, well, of course, that's what I want. I want more detail. And here you can see the segmentation by cash flow in detail, as well as the adoption within the professional industry. And while you think you want to have a lot of detail, you know what? It's super easy to lose the forest from the trees. And oftentimes that high level picture is super helpful. Again, I do not think personally that even if you're using $500 a year software, you should make the final call on A, what your asset allocation is going to be in retirement, and B, whether you have enough money to retire. I don't think you should do that on your own. I think you should hire a professional. You want to go in with 100% confidence. Admittedly, I'm biased, but you want to go in with 100% confidence. You want to have a robust plan put together. You want to have multiple minds thinking about the plan and making sure you haven't missed anything. And for that, I want you to think about reaching out to a fee-only financial advisor and finding somebody that has your best interest in mind is a fiduciary to you 100% of the time. I also want you to think about watching this video here, which talks about, you know, you've worked hard for your money, and this is 8 things to stop doing as you approach 60 to enjoy your money more and enjoy the journey. I'll see you in that video. Bye-bye.